My name is Pumpkin Su. Thank you for stopping by our poster entitled An Empirical-Based Typology of Oral Language Skills in Spanish-Speaking English Learners. First, let me provide you with a little bit of background information that would help you understand the rationale for this project. So a large proportion of Spanish-English bilingual children entering schools do not have sufficient English language skills to function adequately in English-only classrooms. These children, classified and referred to as English learners, will be placed in a variety of educational programs to help them transition to English-only classrooms. Generally speaking, these programs can be characterized as either dual language programs or English-focused programs that provide instruction only in English. Outcome studies that examine the effectiveness of these two types of educational programs have yielded mixed findings, and we think one factor that may play a role in terms of explaining these inconsistent findings is the linguistic characteristics of the children receiving the particular model of instructions. Now, there are two common a priori assumptions about language profiles in Spanish-speaking English learner students. So first of all, they demonstrate age-appropriate native-like proficiency in their home language, so Spanish. And second of all, these children are often assumed to be a linguistically homogeneous group. However, previous studies have found that even within monolingual children, there's a considerable range of linguistic skills across various domains, and this variability is likely to be magnified in bilingual children because now, in addition to the normal individual variability that we'd expect, there's also variability in bilingual children's exposure to their language, which can have an impact on their proficiency in both languages. So this topic is important to study because an educational program for English learner students can only be effective when there is a good match among the specified goal of a program, teachers' use of instructional language, and the linguistic needs of the children in the program. And the fundamental question of whether a particular education model is appropriate for certain English learners cannot be answered unless we challenge the assumed homogeneity of linguistic skills within this population. So in this study, we're interested in examining the heterogeneity in the large group of Spanish-English bilingual children classified as English learners by their school district and identify potential profiles in oral language skills in this group of children. So data for this study were from a large-scale cross-sectional study. Participants for this data set included 865 English learners. As part of the large-scale study, narrative language samples in Spanish and English were elicited using a wordless picture book. And from these narrative sample transcripts, we derived 4 measures for each language, including subordination index, moving average type token ratio, words per minute, and narrative structure scheme. These measures were selected because each of them taps a different aspect of language performance, including syntax, vocabulary diversity, general language proficiency, and narrative structure. So combined, these measures in both languages provide a broad index of oral language ability in each language and were collectively used in the latent profile analysis. So for time's sake, in this video, I'm not going to elaborate on the model enumeration and selection procedure that we used to conduct the latent profile analysis. So for those of you who are statistically oriented, I'm more than happy to elaborate and answer questions during the live poster session. But in this video, I'm just going to say that we ran a total of 24 models based on different profile specification and parameter specifications. And then we selected the optimal model based on a variety of model fit indices listed here. So there are 3 main findings from this project. First of all, the optimal solution that we selected includes 5 distinct language profiles. We plotted participants' performance on all English and Spanish measures in each profile here in figure 2. As you can see, there were 3 subgroups that had relatively balanced English and Spanish, but at varying levels. So low balanced, mid balanced, and high balanced. And then 2 groups emerged as English dominant and Spanish dominant. So profile 2, high Spanish, low English, Spanish dominant. Profile 4, high English, low Spanish, English dominant. And then second finding, something else that stood out to us is that for some profiles within each language, the levels are uneven across language domains. So specifically profile 2, 4, and 5. We observed a relative strength in Spanish syntax in the high balanced group, so this bar here indicates Spanish subordination index. And then for profile 2 and 4, we observed a relative strength in semantics in the non-dominant language. So for example, profile 2, Spanish dominant, we see a strength here that's English semantics, and then the opposite pattern here. So profile 4, English dominant, particular strength in Spanish semantics. So this finding provides additional support for the profile effect in bilingual children. All right, the third finding is that when we plotted the proportion of children in each profile across all grades, so figure 3, we found that these 5 language profiles were present across all grades. So, for example, there are some kindergarteners in the highest ability profile, and there's also some third graders in the lowest ability. So that's our third finding. So overall, these findings identified confirmed large within group variability in our sample of Spanish-English speaking English learners, and then particularly the existence of profile 4, which is the English dominant group, caution against making a priori assumptions about children's Spanish and English language ability based solely on English learner status. So overall, we would like to emphasize the need to consider the specific linguistic needs of each individual EL student when making decisions about educational programs, because it does not make sense to put children with all of these different profiles into the same classroom and expect that they would learn to the same amount from the same type of instructional model. And lastly, I'd like to point out one limitation of the study, which is this study only examined the heterogeneity in a specific subgroup of Spanish-English bilingual children, so those classified as English learners, which compromised the external validity of the study. More studies are needed to generalize findings from this study to other subgroups of bilingual children. And then we're also conducting additional analysis using a different longitudinal dataset to look at how stable these profiles are. So we are hoping to answer such questions like, do children stay in the same profile from kindergarten to 3rd grade? So if you're interested in this topic, stay tuned. That's all. Thank you.